before I turned 26, I got to go get it. And every single day that I wouldn't get sales or that I wouldn't get on all those calls, I was like, I'm failing myself. I'm not going to get that Lamborghini.
Welcome back to Young Smart Money with me, your host, Crider. In this episode, we're sitting down and talking with Alex Moeller. Alex is somebody who is absolutely killing the game on Instagram. He has built a business from literally nothing all the way up to nearly 8 figures at this point. He's doing nearly 8 figures in revenue in his business on Instagram right now. And he's doing that through helping businesses and personal brands to grow, expand their audience, expand their reach on the platform. Alex first got introduced to this business in a very interesting way. So I'm super stoked to allow you guys to hear from him and hear about his experiences. He's gone on to build his personal account to over 400,000 followers on the platform, and he's helped a bunch of other influencers do the same thing very quickly. And he just what he does is really, really cool, and he's really making a huge impact on a lot of people. So I'm super stoked to sit down with him and allow him to share his message with you guys in this episode. So without further ado, whether you are walking the dog, whether you are driving to work, I want you to sit back, relax, plug in, and enjoy this episode of Young Smart Money. Alex, welcome to Young Smart Money. How are you doing today?
Doing great, brother. How's everything, man?
I'm doing fantastic. It is a absolutely wonderful day. So Alex, our listeners, they heard a little bit about you in the intro to this episode, but for those of them that aren't familiar with you, could you give us like 60 seconds as to like what you're doing right now? And then we're going to sort of flash back in time and work our way up to the present.
Perfect, man. So pretty much I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is something that I haven't been doing for too long, but I've just been able to have a lot of success in these last 2 years, specifically with Instagram. I believe Instagram is the most important platform out there. So what I started was an Instagram consulting company where I help individuals massively grow their social presence and then teach them how to monetize, over that presence.
Awesome. I love it. And that's something that I'm getting hit up time and time again every single day in dozens of DMs, people being like, how do you make money on Instagram? How do I grow my page? And that's exactly what we're going to be getting into in this episode. So Alex, before we hop deep dive into Instagram, talk to us a little bit about where you came from. Talk about your upbringing, like middle school and high school. Were you like an entrepreneur? You said you recently got into the game. So at that young age, were you hustling? Were you taking school very seriously? What did that look like for you?
Well, I'm originally from Quito, Ecuador, so that's in South America. I was born there. I lived there till I was 11. I moved over here to Florida. My family is definitely, a very business-oriented family, so I don't have a crazy story about how I was living on a couch. I had $1 to my name, like a lot of people want to hear that hype.
Yeah.
That isn't necessarily my story, but my story is one that can relate with a lot of people because I was in a position to where, my family had, decent success, but here I was, and I was like, I wasn't motivated. I wasn't really doing anything, middle school, high school. I'm just kind of, typical going out with friends. I got in a little bit to the party scene like a lot of people do. Same with college. I was just, trying to graduate, bro. I'd go to class when I had to. It's the typical, I wasn't getting out of it. And now thinking back, I was like, wow, all those entrepreneur classes, like everything I could have done, that wasn't my thing. And I think times have really shifted because back then, it wasn't like now where you have, individuals like you that are crushing it, that have podcasts, they're doing well. Back then it was like, hey, get a job, make your money, save your money, a little bit more traditional. I'm talking about, 6-7 years ago. And so I was just following that trend, the $400 or $500 I'd make a month. I'd and I'm being honest here, I would save it to go party, be like, how many shots can this get me? Right. And there was just no real motivation there. And then I was one of my only friends that graduated in 4 years. So I was pretty dedicated with school. I was like, I had always a north of like, all right, I got to do this. Graduated, got a 9-to-5. I started working in a makeup company and I was doing well, man. I was doing, all right. I was making an okay salary, but I was in a position to where I really didn't, I wasn't thriving for that massive success. And it wasn't until I decided to launch some retail stores, I was like, you know what, I want to try to do something by myself over in Ecuador, some makeup retail stores. And social media was going to be the fuel to that company. And I was like, I got this, I'm a young guy. I know how to manage social media. I know how to post. And I completely failed, man. Like literally, this was about 4 years ago. I was getting like a like on the pictures, and I was putting in a lot of work, and I was like, I'm so frustrated. I got to learn how to manage social media, and I'm going to start by managing my personal account, and that's kind of how it started. So that's the whole my childhood, going into entrepreneurship.
I love it. I love it. So, what made you want to start those retail businesses? Because it doesn't sound like you were particularly entrepreneurial up until that point. So, what sort of made you want to make that leap and make that shift into starting something?
Right. So, I mean, the company I was working with, they're one of the biggest distributors out in Latin America of makeup, pretty much control the makeup industry. I was very involved in it. And I just saw an opening because, kind of what got me into it. I started seeing people have a ton of success. I started following Instagram. I started being active. I started seeing the guys with the Lambos. I started seeing the mansions. And I was like, why am I sitting here making 4 or 5 grand a month, and I'm okay with it? I'm not doing anything else. And I saw that opportunity. I started reading some entrepreneur books, and it just kind of, my mind shifted a little bit, not completely, but I had that idea, presented it to the company. They were like, hey, we really like that. Let's roll with it. Let's try to do it. And of course, I was like, oh, I got the social media aspect, and I didn't have it. I had no idea what to do. But yeah, pretty much just from following people on social media, seeing their success and saying, why don't I have that?
Mm, that's huge. And one thing that you brought up there is the idea of complacency. Like you were making $4,000-$5,000 a month, and that can be a huge barrier for people to get over. Like people get complacent with the life that they're currently living. They stop having that ambition. They stop seeking for more. And even at the age of 20, I see a lot of my peers already starting to sort of fit into their groove and just sort of start existing and forget about making progress and forget about moving forward. So I think it's really important. And was there ever a time for you that you really decided that you weren't going to be complacent with where you were at, or was it sort of a gradual process for you in pursuing growth for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think really the tipping point, just to kind of finish off the story I was telling before,
Hmm.
was, after I failed, I started I was like, I got to grow my personal account. I had 600 followers on this account. This is 2 years ago. And I did travel a lot. So I had good content. I was like, you know what? I got to start growing my account. So I started teaching myself everything. Something that I did is I invested in a course that taught about social media management. I would stay up till 4 in the morning reading about the algorithm. So just, and I started seeing my account grow. So I just got started, and I started seeing a little bit of success, and that kind of started the momentum. But it was awesome because I was just doing it as a hobby. But the second that I hit about 2,000 followers, I remember this girl reached out to me. She's like, hey, how are you doing this? And I don't know what, but a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, what if I just tell her I can teach her how to do it and let me charge her? Ran home, right? And I whipped up a quick presentation. I was like, oh, should I charge her $200? Is that too much? But I was like, whatever, let's do it. I sent it over to her. Right away, she accepted, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then she referred me a friend. They were super happy. And I was just kind of learning along the way, teaching myself. And it wasn't until July 2017, at that point I had about 6,000 followers on my account. I was like, you know what? I have to form a company out of this. A lot of people are asking me about this. She's referred me a ton of clients. At this point I had maybe like 12 clients making decent side hustle money. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all in. And that's where I formed my LLC. This is July 2017. And then all I did, man, was post one picture on my account saying, hey guys, this is my new company. And all the people that had been watching me progress in those like 6-7 months, 70 of them reached out to me, of which 30 became clients like day one. And at that point, I was like, this is the power of social media. I left the 9 to 5 that I was at. I went all in. That month, I scaled to over 100 clients. I'm a big sales guy, so that comes naturally to me. The year I scaled to over 1,000 clients, and now fast forward to today, it's almost an 8-figure company. We work with, several thousand individuals, businesses that we grow on social media. And it's just incredible what can happen. And, we're talking a year and a half. So it was just that spark. And then when I saw the move, I was like, you know what? I'm going all in.
That's massive. And just seeing the potential and capitalizing on it is something that not a lot of people are doing. Like you just put yourself out there, you started creating content, somebody approached you and you were willing to jump on that. You didn't say, oh no, I don't really know how to teach people, or I don't think I'm ready for this yet. Like you just hopped into it. And that's something that it's tough for people. So what would you tell a listener who is getting started, they're learning about something and they want to take it to the next level, but they're not sure they're ready? How do you know if it's time to make that leap?
I mean, it's just all about taking risks. Every single, success that I've had, or every business that I've had, has come from me taking a risk, from me saying, you know what, I want to leave that comfortable 4,000 to 5,000 guaranteed a month to pursue something that I'm passionate about. Right. And I think the biggest thing, is finding something you're passionate about. Because if you take a risk, what I would call a dumb risk is something like, oh, I'm going to throw all my money in here because I think it's going to make me money, but you're not passionate about it. Right. So when it fails, you're like, oh man, I didn't do it. Like for me, I was like, all right, if I don't scale this to $1 million, that's fine, because I love helping people. I became really passionate about Instagram. I'm passionate about sales. And I'm like, this is what I have to do. So if someone finds something you're passionate about and it starts to make you a little bit of money, or you see a way of making money with it or turning into a business, that's when you're like, you know what, I got to go all in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about the potential that Instagram has. Like, why would somebody even want to grow a page in the first place? Why would they want to establish themselves or establish their personal brand? Like, what's the value that somebody's getting out of having a large Instagram following?
Right. I always go back to my own story, man, because a lot of people say, oh, well, you're successful because you have the luxury lifestyle, or you're successful because you have these cars. I'm like, well, I didn't always have that. Right. I just jumped in. I taught myself everything about Instagram, but we're living in a world right now where social media literally runs the world. Right. So whenever you hear about an individual, whenever you hear about a business, whenever you hear about even a girl, your buddy says, I went out with this girl, what's the first thing you do? You go on Instagram. Right. You don't Google them anymore. You don't Facebook them anymore. You go to Instagram to verify who that person is or who that business is. So if you go on there and you see, that person or that business has a couple hundred followers, perception nowadays tells you that person isn't successful or that business isn't successful, even though it's not true. I'm not, you can be successful and not have a social media platform, but that's what perception is nowadays. So if you're able to leverage and grow massively on Instagram and put the right kind of content, make it look like a magazine, make it look beautiful, all of a sudden people start to trust you. And that happened with me, man. When I had 6,000 followers, yeah, I had pretty good success, but I was getting on at least 30 calls or 40 calls a day. And 99% of people were telling me no. They were like, no, I don't know, it's not the right time. And I was charging like $200 to $300, right? And everybody's telling me no. All of a sudden, they start watching me grow, right? I hit 9,000, 10,000, 15,000. And now all these people that told me no are all coming back and be like, yo, Alex, I see you growing. Like, now I believe in you, right? And I can take it as far as, when I hit 100K, man, it's this drastic. It went from me having to get on a call with someone to charge them $200 to people PayPaling me anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 without getting on a call with me, without even knowing who I am. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, this person doesn't even know me, yet they're willing to trust me because of that number on my account, because of the good content that I'm showing. And I'm an individual. Imagine if you're a business and you're trying to sell. I have a perfect example. There's this brand that, buddy got a pair of shoes. I love shoes. He's like, check these out, handmade in England. And he's like, these are $250. I'm like, dude, that's expensive. It's an expensive pair of shoes, but you know what? They're awesome. Let me see their Instagram. This is a couple years ago. I go on and they've got like 6,000, 7,000. I'm like, how can you spend that much money on that brand? Perception. Then a year later, I see them featured on men's fashion posts. I go on their account. They've got like 150 or 200,000 followers. And I was like, damn, that's cheap. Those pairs of shoes are cheap. And then I caught myself and I'm like, wow, like this is perception. This is Instagram, to where people are making purchase decisions because they see a big account. So if you're a business and you don't have a big account and you're still expecting to make sales online, it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
So bouncing off of that, what's your stance on like fake followers and people who are artificially boosting their numbers to achieve that like social proof or that clout that you say you instantly like associate? Like when you see a big number, you associate that with value, with prestige. So what's your stance on people who are artificially inflating those numbers?
Yeah, well, I'm very against the whole fake it till you make it. It can
Mm.
work for some people, but what comes up fast crumbles down faster. A lot of people go out there and buy a bunch of fake bot followers and likes. You can buy everything
Oh
nowadays, right?
yeah.
And they can fool a bunch of little kids that go on there and see all the hype and charge them a couple $100. But I don't see Instagram about just having influence or about being famous. I see it about being a platform to connect with high net worth individuals, right? For me, one of the individuals that and I got to shout him out here, that changed my life is a friend, Chris Frederick. His Instagram's Chris Thunder 13, and he's the one that taught me how to massively grow accounts. But I probably would have never connected with him if I didn't have that presence. And he's smart enough to know if I'm faking it till I make it, right? So I can fool a bunch of 15-year-olds to pay me money through hype, but I'm not going to fool a high net worth individual who knows what he's doing, right? So there's the ones that fake it and make quick money, or individuals who truly decide to invest in their account, build a real presence, and those are the ones that are going to last and turn into big entrepreneurs or business owners.
That's the truth. And like once you have a little bit of experience in the Instagram game, you can see instantly when somebody has just artificially boosted their numbers. And at that point, it just like if I'm looking for somebody to have on the podcast and I see that all of their followers are fake, they're getting like 3 likes a post, I'm like, I'm not going to reach out to this person because I just lost a lot of respect for them because I know that they're just artificially boosting.
And it's even worse because now if you go to a brand and you see they have 40,000 followers and you see they got 100 likes, you're like, wow, they're that sad to go to the point to getting and not even faking it right, like at
Yeah.
least right. So they lose credibility.
Exactly. So flash back a little bit. You said you were hopping on 30 to 40 phone calls a day and getting rejected time and time again. To our younger listeners who are, I mean, most people are not willing to do that. Just frankly, most people are not willing to, A, just even pick up the phone and call somebody, but B, like get rejected over and over and over. So what got you to keep going? You said you had some experience in sales, but I mean, what got you to keep going and keep pushing through all those no's?
Right. And that's one of the biggest things, because I do work with a lot of individuals. I teach them how to make money online. And a lot of times, the ones that fail are the ones that after a week, they're like, I don't know, like I've hit up 100 people. Everybody told me, no, this isn't for me. And they quit. And they could be one call away from getting that yes. Right. So for me, me failing wasn't an option. I just had it in my head. I was like, I'm going to be successful with this. And I already tasted a little bit of success, but people don't understand. Like now they look at my account and they see exotic cars in the mansion. They're like, oh, that's why he's successful. He's got the content, he's got everything. But they don't see that for literally about 6 to 7 months when I first started, I was getting on probably even more than 20, 30 calls. Like it wasn't even healthy to the point I was like forgetting to eat lunch. I was just like call, because I had that, vision of what I was going to achieve. Everybody's telling me no, but then all of a sudden they see me get to 7,000 followers. They see me launch a company. Then they see me, land, all those clients that I landed there. I post that on Instagram. Now everybody's like, wow, like he told me about this. You get more. So entrepreneurship is all about momentum. So a lot of people pick up a tiny bit of momentum, get a couple sales, and they're like, oh, I'm happy. I'm going to go party this weekend. They drop down a little bit, and you're exactly where you were before, right? So you got to, I still get on 20, 30 calls a day just because I love it. I don't need to. The money's coming in on autopilot, but I like to do it because it keeps me, kind of humble to where I was before. Like, hey, you got to grind like this every single day to be making the money that you are.
Mm. How do you stay so focused to hold yourself accountable to consistently showing up for people?
Listen, man, this is going to sound funny, but I had a goal to buy a Lamborghini. Like that was like my ultimate goal. A lot of people say, oh, material things. But to me, I would wake up every single day. I'm like, I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. I'm going to buy a Lamborghini. I'm going to, and that was my, my goal after a year. And at that point, when I was 25, I was like, I have to do it First, it was I told myself by my 30th birthday. Then I told myself, on my 28th birthday, I'm going to go in and get it. But when I started seeing the amount of success that I was having for the work, I was like, I got to go get it July. Next year before I turn 26, I got to go get it. And every single day that I wouldn't get sales or that I wouldn't get on all those calls, I was like, I'm failing myself. I'm not going to get that Lamborghini, or I'm not going to get what I want if I'm not putting in the work. And so it just I got into that mindset where I was so focused on that goal that every single day I was putting in the work, and I was like, all right, today I made this much. I'm that much closer. I'm that much closer until I achieved it. And then you set another goal. Now for me, it isn't about, I want material things. Now it's like, I want to impact 1,000 lives. I want to help 1,000 of my students go out there and make 6 figures. So now that's my goal. So now I spend a lot of time with the people I work with. And as soon as one of them makes their first, $30,000, $40,000 a month, to me, that's rewarding. And that's why I do it now. So you always have to have a why of what you're doing it. And going back to what I said, be passionate about it, because if not, it's just going to crumble.
That's the truth. So once you have your why, how do you establish your goals, and how do you establish what it's going to take you to get there? So say you have this goal, you want to buy this Lambo. By the time you're at first it's 30, then 28, then 26. How do you break that down into actionable things that you can actually go out there and do every single day to move yourself closer to that end goal?
Right. So you got to have, the short-term and the long-term goals, right? The Lambo wasn't even a long-term. For me, it was a little bit more of like a medium. I have my long-term goals, but my short-term goals first were like, you know what? I have to make $1,000 a day, right? How do I make $1,000 a day? I would break it down to this many sales. How do I get this many sales? I got to hit up this many people. How do I hit up this many people? I got to schedule myself every single day to make this many calls, right? So once you have those set numbers, then you go out and do it. And that's why I was so hard on myself for a day where, and I was crazy. I had to get crazy, right? I made $800 that day. I was like, I'm not sleeping until somehow I make those extra $200, because that's what it takes. And then once you get to the, $1,000 a day, now I was like, all right, how am I going to crack that first $100,000 month? All right, I got to make 3,333. How do I get there? Boom, you break it down again, and you just pretty much just try to get addicted to that success, and not in an unhealthy way, because I don't want to sound unhealthy, but to me, I was so passionate and I loved what I did so much that I love being on calls 24/7. I love meeting up with people and networking with people and hitting goals. There's nothing more rewarding in the world than putting a goal and actually achieving it, and achieving it faster than you thought.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for our listeners who might be in a place where they are looking to escalate their personal brand and to take themselves to the next level. Say we have a listener, they're like 18 years old. They want to start building their personal brand on Instagram. What would you tell them as far as advice for getting started? Like what are some of the most important things that you need to implement when you are getting started building your personal brand at a young age?
So one of the biggest things is I know the biggest struggle is the money aspect, right? I have a course, I teach individuals, I can grow your account for you, but a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't have $2,000. And that's okay. I understand when I was 18, sure as hell didn't have $2,000. But what they can start applying right away is kind of what I did, start following individuals that have what you want, right? Take their advice, follow them closely and all their content. Knowledge is free, man. The thing about a course you can find, and I'm very honest, you can find a lot of the stuff I teach on my course on YouTube, on Google. The reason why courses work so well is because you give someone a structure, right? But people can go out there, and like I told you, before I even had the money to invest in the course, I was just on YouTube all day, how to hack the algorithm, what are the top trending hashtags, how to interact with people the right way, and just information. I'm not someone that necessarily likes to read books too much, but I love reading about Instagram and the algorithm and how to make money. And, that's what I like. So if someone's listening right now and they're like, oh, I don't have money to invest, or I don't know what to do, my thing is get started. Somehow get started, go out there, start teaching yourself, start watching, following people like you, people like me, the entrepreneurs that there's on Instagram, find the right mentors, and just get started. You have to get started.
That's the truth. Now, when you're learning, when you're getting started, when you're in those early stages, how do you think about balancing learning versus executing? Because I see people who just get paralyzed by all the stuff that they're learning. They're taking in so much information that they're not dedicating any time to actually putting it into practice. They're just sitting there, they're watching 8 hours of YouTube videos every single day. They think they're learning so much, but they're not doing anything with it. So how do you think about that balance of learning versus executing?
The best way to learn, man, is by taking action, right? Because I could sit there like you just said and watch 8 hours of YouTube and just get paralyzed with information. Next day I'm tired and I don't do it. The way that I learned was literally picking up my phone every single day, interacting with 1,000 people, liking a ton of pictures, finding people through hashtags, asking them how I did it, posting a ton of content, teaching myself how to edit pictures, posting up pictures, all action, 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 action. I see a lot of people that are very meticulous and they're like, oh, I need this and this to get started. This has to be perfect. And that's not the way that I function, at least. I'm like a bulldozer. I'm just like, I'm getting started. I'm hitting up 1,000 people today. I'm posting this many pictures. I'm being this aggressive. And yes, of course, have I failed a bunch of times and, it's been too much? Of course. But that's how you learn. If you just bring in a lot of information and then you get busy with your 9 to 5 or, with school, and then you never execute, then you're never going to take those first steps. You got to just start taking action right away.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Because if you're not doing anything, you're not making any progress. Now, talk to us a little bit about how you were first generating leads for your Instagram growth services, basically. Like, how were you getting people in the door? Was it mostly just from people seeing your account growing? Were you like going onto hashtags, like you said, and finding people? Or what did that process look like for you? And how were you getting people in the door to get on the phone and try to sell them on your services?
I mean, this right here is the biggest aspect about Instagram, right? A lot of people, and I get excuses of like, oh, but I live in Europe or I live in Malaysia, right? How can I get started? Like, this device is the most powerful tool on the planet, right? I spend, and I'm honest, I spend most of my days in my pajamas just laying in bed, just networking with people 24/7, right? I don't even have to, like back in the day, you have to go to that networking event, meet 20 people. Like, you can connect with 50 people while we're on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's really that easy, and it's been made easy thanks to technology. So it's just about interacting with people 24/7, really, really, just building those relationships. And for me, that's how I've generated all my leads. I think I've spent maybe $200 on ads before.
Wow.
Right? There's nothing wrong with ads. I know a lot of people that crush it, right? But for me, it's gotten to the point where I get anywhere from 70 to 100 leads just on my Instagram account. But how did I get to that point? By finding people through hashtags, connecting with the right individuals, right? Let's say if I follow you and I see you follow and shouted out someone else that was on a podcast, reach out to them, interact with them. So you have the world in your fingertips, right? You can reach out to people in Colombia, in Malaysia, in Russia, right? If you have a business in France, you can talk to people in France through locations. So there's absolutely no excuse. You don't have to have money to be investing. But of course, what you do have to do is learn how to properly set up your account, have those bigger numbers so that people respond. There is a lot of people out there that are utilizing this in the wrong way. They're just spamming people. And that's kind of killing it for all entrepreneurs that do it right. But you got to be unique, right? You got to build relationships. You can't just go out there and write someone like, hey, I have this Instagram growth service. Do you want to try it out? Bam, right? Instead of being like, hey, brother, I see you got that podcast. Like, how'd you get started? That's super sick. Congrats. You're going to be so much more receptive to be like, thank you, bro. Thank you for that compliment. What do you do? And all of a sudden we build a relationship and all right, let's do business.
Yep. That's the truth. That's the truth. And it's all about relationships. Like that's the thing with the podcast. And that's the biggest thing that I found is it's just like, there's so much value in networking with high level individuals and people who are doing really cool stuff, but you have to do it the right way. So give our listeners a suggestion or two about when they're reaching out to people who might be, again, say they're 18 years old and they haven't really done much yet. They want to reach out to somebody who's maybe a level or two above them. What would you say is the best strategy to do that, to actually get a response from that person?
All right, so perfect with me, right? I have the individuals, that reach out to me and are like, "Sir, can you send me some money?" Or or just like, "Hey, do you want to buy this?" Or they get aggressive with me sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
crazy. And I'm like, "Bro, you're like 15 years old, you don't have a business and you're insulting me." Like, which is fine. I respect the hustle, but like, you gotta build relationships, right? So something that I would do is, for me specifically, I was reaching out to entrepreneurs, right?
Mhm.
Or individuals that wanted to grow their account. So I would find someone that did like hashtag 10K, right? Because they just hit the 10,000 follower mark. Reach out to them and congratulate them. Say something nice. Like, whenever someone congratulates me, I've had so many, like, the other type of individual, like I was saying, are the ones that reach out to me. They're like, "Hey man, I just want to say, God bless you. What you're doing is incredible. I love the Lamborghini. Keep up the hard work, man." And just, you leave it there. I'm going to respond to that. I'm going to be like, "Hey man, I appreciate you." I'm probably even going to check out their account. Then they can follow that up by being like, "What's one tip you can give me about growing my account?" Or, ask for some advice nicely, or another compliment, right? So now we're in conversation, as opposed to just hitting the person up and be like, "Hey, you want to buy this service?" Or, can you send me money? Right? You just gotta, now you gotta take interest. And that's a big thing that I also teach the students in my course, is that find people that you can relate with. A trick that I do is, whenever I travel a lot, whenever I'm about to go to a new hotel, I go to that location and I write, 10 people that were at that hotel, and I tell them like, "Hey, I saw you stay there. Like, how was it?" And they're like, "Oh, it's incredible. Oh, cool. I'm getting this suite. Oh, cool. I stayed there. We hit it off." And they, 9 out of 10 times, like, "Oh, I see you grow Instagram accounts. How can you help me?" Boom, lead. Right?
Mm.
But it was just such an organic, like such a good approach, because I immediately said something similar. Same thing. I hit up a lot of Lambo owners. "Brother, your Lambo's so sick. How'd you get that color? Or when did you get it?" They see mine. "Oh, dude." So we bond over something similar. If I'm just hitting up, a model with 400,000 followers and trying to, she's going to be like, "Oh, that guy's hitting on me," right? You got to find the right people, relate with them in some way, add value to them, and build that relationship.
That's huge, dude. You just dropped so much value between, first of all, like the 10K. I think that's really, really smart for people, especially in the Instagram growth place, because you're like, this person already has some traction. They're already invested in growing their page. And that would be like a great person to hit up. Also, hotels, like the amount of value you just dropped there in that little bit is ridiculous. And you guys need to go back and listen to that again if you didn't catch all of those strategies that Alex just dropped on you about how to find people, and just apply that to whatever niche you're in, because there are so many features that Instagram provides to you that if you're not taking advantage of those, like, you're just leaving money on the table at that point. You're leaving so much opportunity on the table. So that was absolutely, absolutely massive. So Alex, I've got some questions that I like to ask all of my guests before we wrap up the show. Are you feeling ready for them?
Yep. I'm
Awesome,
good.
awesome. The first thing I'm curious about is, what are you excited about right now? This could be something in your business, in the wider realm of Instagram, entrepreneurship, or just like the world in general. But like, what's something that genuinely has you excited right now?
I mean, I'm excited about this new course that we just launched, because, like I told you, now my why isn't the Lambo, isn't about achieving, monetary goals. It's about helping people, right? And it was funny, because when I started having massive success, even my brother, my family, friends are like, they didn't believe in me in the beginning, because they're like, "Oh, look at, little Alex playing on Instagram, wants to be an influencer," right? Then they start watching you have success. And I decided to kind of just show people that anybody can do it. I took kind of like a test of 18 or 20 people that I helped them grow massively on Instagram. I taught them how to make money, and 18 of them out of the 20 started making between $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And that was, that's money. That's pretty much a salary, right?
Yeah.
And that was really exciting for me. And then I teamed up with my brother. I teamed up with Chris Frederick to launch a course where we help, individuals massively grow their accounts. And that has me really excited, because I just see, in the 2 months that we started, we've gotten a little over, I think, like 130 individuals to commit with us. And the amount of success that they're having, and the amount of just motivation they're getting, they're surrounding themselves with the right people. They're hearing from celebrities that we're inviting to come do the live weekly mentorship calls. And just being able to see how people start to have success doing something that I did, being like, "Hey, it is possible for anybody to do this." that has me really excited because I believe we're going to be able to impact thousands of lives. And then also just the momentum I'm starting to pick up. I really like it because it has me excited. I'm meeting the right individuals. Everything's falling into place. I'm opening up new income streams. And that's always exciting. Money can be exciting.
Absolutely massive. And just seeing, again, like you said, that impact is the biggest thing for me as well. Just being able to see that you're really impacting people and changing their lives and allowing them to develop additional income streams. That's magical, dude. That really changes people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you end up being long-term successful,
Yeah,
right?
that's the legacy.
Money, and they multiply, and that's really my goal for the next couple of years. Just help as many people as possible go out there and start crushing it on Instagram and making money.
Mm, absolutely. Alex, what habits do you have that have served you particularly well? These could be in your business, in your lifestyle in general, but what are those things you do on a regular basis that help you level up?
Probably the biggest habit that I have, and I want to touch on one specific one outside of working hard and going
Mhm.
crazy with sales and everything. It's when I first started, something that kind of kept me rolling was my father, one of my mentors, told me, whatever you declare with your mouth becomes true. Right, so there's so many people that wake up negative or get a message from their client and they're already down, and they start their day with a negative energy, and everything just spirals downwards. Right, it's just crazy how that works. And one of my biggest habits is I wake up every morning. The first thing that I really do is I declare positive things, like, oh, today I declare I'm going to make this much money. Sometimes I get really in detail. Today I declare that I'm happy. Today I declare that I'm at peace. Right, whatever it may be that comes to me that day, I declare it and I do it out loud so that I truly believe it. And all of a sudden my day starts like that, and I'm just positive and things start falling into place. And it's gotten as crazy where I say, like, I declare I'm going to make this number, and at the end of the day I make that exact number. And I don't even know how, but it was just for some reason when I have that positivity waking up, everything falls into place. And literally, this is something that can change. If you're listening to this and you start doing this every single day, just wake up and declare positivity, whatever it is that comes to your mind. Today I'm happy. Today I'm going to find the girl of my dreams, like whatever. Right, just actually mean it and believe it. It becomes true. And that's what keeps me going every single day, is those declarations and that habit of starting my day super positive.
That's a must, because so many people get up out of bed, they're instantly reactionary. They're checking their email, they're checking their DMs, and they're instantly like putting out fires and just, yeah, like getting down right away. But you got to start up here, because that's the only way that you're going to maintain this and like keep going up and up and up the entire day. If you start being reactionary, that's not going to lead to a productive day.
Yeah, exactly. So that's huge, man. Just declaring.
Absolutely. Alex, what kind of content, if any, are you consuming right now? You said you're not big on reading books, but are you listening to any audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube channels, or what's that content consumption looking like for you, if there's any at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely, I'm honest, for some reason, it's not, I do read a lot,
Okay.
right? I'm not the type of person that can pick up a book and just sit there and I get anxious. I'm like, I got to be on the phone. I got making sales. But something I do every single night, and it's been pretty recent. I start looking up successful people on Google,
Hmm.
Bill Gates and all these guys that have had massive success, and I just read about their life. I read about how they got started. I read about how they built their net worth. I'm very curious. Then I look up like the top paid athletes, the top paid artists, the top paid this, that, and then I see their net worth, and then I read how they got to that net worth. Because to me, reading a fiction book, or even a lot of books of course can help you a ton, but for me, I'm a visual person. So if I start visualizing my goals and I start seeing what other individuals did to get to that point, then the next day I start applying those actions. So for me, it's not like I sit down and read a book. I have read a couple great books, but it's more of like I'm on my phone, I Google someone's net worth, and then I find how they got there, right? And what I can do to start applying some of the things that they did. I get inspired. I go to sleep inspired. I wake up, I declare, and it's just a full circle,
I love that. That's a really interesting strategy that I've never heard of before. But that's something that I might have to try out myself.
Yeah, it's awesome, bro. You get pumped. You see all these guys like $100 billion. Like, how did you get there?
Yeah.
If they can do it, I can do it. It's just that's my mentality.
I bet, dude. So one thing that I'm always really curious about with the guests that I have on the show is the things they do that don't scale. So for me personally, one thing that I do is every single day I'll pull out my phone. I'll send 5 to 10 video DMs on Instagram to new followers. I'll just like go to the new people that are following me, pick like randomly like 5 to 10 of them, and just shoot them a video message, be like, hey, what's up? My name's Apple. Thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Let me know if there's any way that I can help you out, anything I can do for you. Have a wonderful day. Just something really simple like that. But the things I find, the things that don't scale are the things that have the biggest impact on people, and the things that other people aren't willing to do. Really, like those messages, for example, I get a lot of really positive responses from those. So is there anything that comes to mind for you that you do in your business that isn't super scalable, that has that personal, like Alex Meller touch to it? What are you thinking about that?
I mean, exactly what you just said is genius, because that is something that I do, and it's actually why you caught my attention, right? Everybody sends you that spam message, you send that video, and it's super unique, right? So I mean, something that I do is, and an individual once told me that if you want to really scale a business, you have to, you got to spend 90% of your time with 10% of the individuals, right? Because you can't help 1,000 people. That's why we created the course, because yes, these people are thriving, but it doesn't require my time one-on-one. But then I see about 10 individuals who I'm like, wow, these guys, have the potential to crush it. And I just spend a lot of time with them, right? Whether they're not crushing it yet, but like, I'll be like, yo, let's go play some tennis, or yo, let's go out to dinner, right? Dinner on me, or I pay attention to those little details, because I know that's going to go a long way. Because once you gain someone's trust and they believe in you, and you build that friendship, especially someone on your team, right? It's not something that you can do. It's not scalable, because I can't do that with 1,000 people, but I can do it with those 10, 20 individuals who I see big potential with. Just pay attention to details, motivate them, maybe take them on a vacation, right? Because then they're going to be loyal to you. Then they are going to help you scale the business. So I try to do that as much as often, because I really believe in these individuals that are helping me build this business. And if you take care of them, they're going to take care of you.
That's the truth. What do you see in someone that shows you that they have potential? Like, what are the things that you're looking for in someone to see if they have the potential to sort of get to that next level?
My main thing is that they're a hustler. They're a hard worker, man.
Hmm.
There's hard work works. It's as simple as that. If I see someone that is just nonstop, will be like, yo, Alex, at the end of the day, they give me the report. I hit up 20 people, 20 of them told me no, doesn't matter. I have another 10 calls set up tomorrow, and they're just like boom, boom, persistent, persistent, persistent. I'm like, I need to take it that step further. I need to start getting on calls with them so they can see me close a deal, right? Because they're there. They have the work ethic. They
Hmm.
just need those little tips to just help them get to that next level. And that to me is everything, because that's very rare to find someone that has that mentality of, I'm going to go all in. I see a ton of guys that they'll go on all in the week, but then I don't hear from them from Friday to Monday. Then Monday they're hungover, and then they start on Tuesday. And I'm just like, that's not scalable.
Hmm.
It's entrepreneurship and business is all about momentum. So the second you start picking up momentum, it's game over. So for me, it's finding those individuals that are just willing to put in all their time and energy to really making it work.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Alex, you've been dropping a ridiculous amount of value on our listeners here today. Where can they go if they want to follow up with you, find out more about what you're up to, and what you're doing on the Instagram side of things? Where should we direct those listeners?
So I manage everything on Instagram, man. I stick to Instagram. So my Instagram's A Meller. It's AMOELLER. A lot of people say Moeller, but it's Meller, A Meller. That's my Instagram account. I respond to almost all my DMs, or at least I try to. Also, if an individual that's listening that's like, you know what, I want to take it a step further and I want to team up with Alex, and we just launched our course. It does have a $2,000 price point, but like I told you, from experienced individuals that really put in work are now making anywhere from 3 to 5,000. Like hell, those top 10 guys got guys making $40,000-$50,000 a month. So it really does work. I do understand that maybe there's some younger listeners. We did just launch yesterday a payment plan where people can get started with $599. I know having $2,000 upfront is difficult, but with $599 they can get started. So DM me. I definitely want to connect with everyone on here. I want to hear their thoughts. I want to maybe add some extra value to help their account grow. But if they're really serious about monetizing their account, then, they have to take that leap. There is an investment required, but it's the investment that I made. I would never tell someone to do something that I haven't done myself. And how I got started was I invested in a course. Right. It gave me that spark of motivation. Like, that's the biggest value that people don't see. Like, yes, our course includes guaranteed 15,000 follower growth. It includes hours of pre-recorded content. But one of the biggest things is we have a private entrepreneur group where we get celebrities to come we'll call it Money Mondays, to come talk to them. These are celebrities that, charge $10,000 to $20,000 for calls. They're coming in for free to give value. And just that spark of motivation could be very well what that individual needs to be successful. Right. So I have a lot of people that come on and they say, Alex, I know I haven't made sales with you yet, or I haven't, but this sparked my motivation to start this business, or this helped me meet this individual that now is making me money. So it's about finding that group of people that understand you, because the entrepreneur world, people don't understand you. Like, I lost a lot of friends in the process because they would watch me I stopped going to nightclubs. I stopped going out. I was focused on my business. So being able to put myself in a group of individuals where everybody is like-minded, everybody wants to network with each other, that right there is the biggest value. That's the game changer. So yeah, DM me. I would love to connect with everyone that's listening.
1,000%. And I'll be sure to link up all of those in the show notes for this episode as well. Alex, do you have any last parting thoughts or words of wisdom for our listeners here on Young Smart Money today?
Yeah, man, take action. That's the biggest thing that's propelled my success. I took action when I first started. I took action when I went out and bought the Lamborghini, where literally this is the first time I tell someone this, but I was like, if I don't scale in about 6 months, I'm not going to have this car anymore. I'm going to have to go out and sell it. Like, I took one of the biggest risks of my life. Like, I pretty much invested my net worth into getting this car. And the very next month, my income 5 times, and then the second month it 10 times. So that was one of the biggest risks that I took. So when a lot of people say, oh, I don't know if I can invest $2,000, or I don't know if I have the time to do this, and they're probably not going to reach those big levels. Take action. Don't wait for that website to be done. Don't wait until your logo guy gets back to you. Just get started, take action, and put in the work.
There we go. Words of wisdom. Alex, thank you so much for your time and spending it here on Young Smart Money. I really do appreciate it.
Appreciate you, my man. Keep crushing it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Young Smart Money. If you want to support the show, you can do so in 3 different ways. You can subscribe, you can leave me 5, and you can share this episode with a friend. To subscribe, all you got to do is click the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts. To leave me 5, all you got to do is scroll all the way down to the bottom of the podcast page for Young Smart Money and click on the write a review button. And to share with a friend, all you got to do is screenshot yourself listening to this episode, post on your Instagram story, tag me, and I will be sure to repost it in my Instagram story as well. I love giving you guys some attention who are listening to the show. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Real quick, just launched a new project called the Online Course Examiner, basically the Yelp of online courses. It is blowing up lately, onlinecourseexaminer.com. Check it out.